Council, our next caller is Jonathan Wainscott.
Hey, this is Jonathan.
We can hear you, Jonathan.
All right, great. Hey, it's Jonathan Wainscott.
I was also calling to talk a little bit about the Vance Monument coming down. I wanted to thank Council for making that vote.
I would like to thank Councilwoman Kilgore for bringing alternative perspectives to the table. I don't agree with them, but you did that very respectfully, and I appreciate that.
I want to play something that was said that evening by the mayor, if I can, and I hope this works.
You know, for me personally, I've come to believe that the Vance Monument no longer reflects, well, it probably never reflected the values of our community.
I just wanted to comment on the last couple things that you said there, Madam Mayor, and I'm not trying to nitpick and play gotcha.
But the history of Asheville has not always been one of a great liberal oasis amongst a right-wing state. In the Jim Crow era, between, I'd say 1882 and 1931, Asheville was very active in its Jim Crow policies.
The Democratic Party had a strong hold on the Board of Aldermen, which we used to have until 1915. The Board of Aldermen elected our first black representative here in 1882, Newton Shepard, and his political career ended in 1883.
Locke Craig's political career began here in Asheville in 1883 as a white supremacist who was Asheville City Attorney, Buncombe County Attorney, and became the governor of North Carolina. In 1915, while he was governor, Asheville became the first city in North Carolina to eliminate our aldermanic ward system of electing the Board of Aldermen and went to an at-large system of the Board of Commissioners.
And in 1931, Asheville became the first city in North Carolina to eliminate absentee balloting upon its referendum to change our charter, which has created our current council manager form of government and our at-large election system that we still use today. So
I would really, implore you all to take a deeper look into the history of Asheville so that we can, have integrity with our reparations and, make true reconciliation. So if you want to talk more about it, I would love to. We could have snacks and facts with Jonathan. You guys bring the snacks and I'll bring the facts, and maybe next time we can switch it around, and look forward to seeing you guys in person. Hope everybody's doing well. You guys have a great night. Thanks a lot. Bye.
So as a matter of fact, as the Vance Monument is being taken down, it was put up at the very beginning of our Jim Crow era in 1897. It was obviously honoring Zebulon Vance, and I don't even want to get into that whole Vance Monument conversation, though it is sort of a jumping off point because it is coming down. And now, so I've been breaking down and studying the time period of Jim Crow here in Asheville. Again, Jim Crow is sort of at the very end of the 1800s, about 1896. Well, for round numbers, for easy math, let's say 1895. 1895 is the beginning of the Jim Crow era, and it goes all the way up to, let's just say, 1965, right? 70 years. Is that right? Is that, yeah. 70 years. 1931 is pretty much right smack dab in the middle of it, and that is the year that we established the council manager form of government here in Asheville with our city council elected in an at-large fashion. Our first election, we had 9 people on council. The mayor was elected from council or by council from amongst themselves. So we had to put 9 new people into a brand new form of government, put up a brand new election system, all of that kind of stuff. That happened, that was 1931. So I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth between 1882 and 1931. I'm focused on the first half of the Jim Crow years here in Asheville, plus the time just preceding that, starting in 1882. 1882, Asheville had a board of aldermen with, I believe, 6 wards, an at-large representative, and a mayor that was elected directly. In order to represent a ward, you had to live in the ward, and at some point, and maybe it was always this way, those representatives were still elected from everybody in the city. So it was sort of not quite single representative district with elections being held in that fashion. But anyway, we did have a black alderman in 1882, and he had a very short-lived, not particularly interesting term in office, and served for 1 year until 1883. And then he kind of left, and I guess came back and is buried in Riverside Cemetery, and that was all uncovered by Joel Burgess and our local historian at UNCA, Dr. Darren Waters, who brought that to light very recently. And I found it to be very interesting because I've been involved in the conversation about our district elections, how we have overlooked the civil rights movement, maintained an at-large election system here in Asheville. We're the last to have one besides Wilmington. All right, so 1883, Newton Shepherd, black alderman, he kind of leaves. Locke Craig becomes an attorney here in Asheville. He shows up to Asheville with his brand new, shiny North Carolina State Bar lawyer's license, hangs out a shingle, becomes a lawyer here in Asheville in 1883. He became heavily involved in the local Democratic Party and helped organize. I think he may have been chairman or something like that. He became the city attorney for Asheville and also the county attorney for Buncombe. In 1899, I believe, he became an elector for House of Representatives or something. He became more involved in state politics, and he made a few runs at being state senator, made a run at being a governor, and then finally in 1913 he became the governor of North Carolina, and he was a white supremacist. Now, the whole time, all of these changes that are occurring in Asheville back in 1915, 1931, the record of the day was the Asheville Citizen-Times. The Asheville Citizen-Times was founded by a Klansman in 1868. So Asheville Citizen-Times was a staunchly Democratic newspaper. This is like, newspapers weren't always objective and then became like biased in whenever recent history. Newspapers started out being completely biased, it's like they were a Democratic newspaper. So the Asheville Citizen-Times and the Women's Citizens League of Buncombe County stripped absentee voting from our election system prior to the referendum to have the charter change here in Asheville. Our history is just like, we were blazing the trail. We were pioneers. We were the first city in the state to eliminate the aldermanic ward election system. First city in North Carolina to do that. Other cities followed as a way to disenfranchise black voters who were already severely disenfranchised in the first place, but as progress was being made forward, pushback was happening, and we're just now learning about Newton Shepherd. That was a long time ago. It was 138 something years ago, something like that. I hope my math is right. Close enough. It was a long time. Of course we don't remember. Of course we don't know about that. Of course we should. But there's no way that Locke Craig could have not been aware of Newton Shepherd in 1883. Newton Shepherd was an alderman in 1883. White supremacist Locke Craig came to Asheville in 1883 and immediately began getting involved in local politics. I mean, damn, there's your connection right there. Anyway, that's a little oddity that's fun to find out about when you're researching what actually happened instead of whitewashing, blackwashing, greenwashing, pinkwashing, rainbow washing, glitter washing history away. We're erasing history not by way of bringing down the Vance Monument. We can still go to the library and read about the Vance Monument and Vance himself. There's plenty of pictures of it. There's tons of it. It didn't evaporate. But history does get evaporated when the mayor of an Appalachian, North Carolina town says that the Vance Monument never reflected, probably never reflected, the views of the city. The monument did not get built without being supported by a tremendous number of people in the city in 1897. And again, that time period was absolutely controlled in Asheville and Buncombe County by Democrats, at which point the Democratic Party was the party of white supremacy and segregation. So, in order for us to tear down our systems of racial inequality, we need to examine how they got here in the first place, which is what happened to the Vance Monument, a physical representation of racial oppression, symbolic, a physical thing that's symbolic, physically taken down, but we have other, born under a bad sign systems, structures. Our systems are structures, and our system of electing our city council by way of an at-large election, though we have elected some black candidates, but to say that the at-large system worked for you, no, it did not necessarily. To say that the at-large system worked against black people for a long time, yes, that's absolutely true. It's quantifiable in the absence of black councilmen for so long in Asheville to begin with. So, though there is this period of time now, it does not dismiss the history and the fundamental problems still associated with this voting system. Just like Texas froze in April. Texas froze in April. Therefore, no global warming. It's the exact same logic that's being used and has been used to defend the use of our at-large system, Jim Crow as hell. Original, old school Jim Crow. So we got to face those facts, and we should have snacks while we do it.